Welcome Hex and Counter players to Wargame Design Studio Korsun 44, or the battle that was known by the Germans as the Cherkasy Pocket. Welcome back to episode 6 of our look at Advance through Medvin Alt. Now, rather than continue the playthrough, I thought we would conduct something of a post-mortem on the scenario. Currently we are focused on the infantry unit in the very north of the map, and this is the information that is revealed when fog of war is not enabled. So as you can see in the top left, we have 114 men, morale C, movement 24, fatigue 0. And below that we also have the supply of both sides, 70 for the Soviet side and 60 for the Axis. When fog of war is enabled, we do not get any information from the top two panels, and in the lower left we don't get the enemy supply value, and in the lower right we don't get the current stacking value in the hex. So how do we assess a defender's strength when we have fog of war enabled? Well, there are some basic factors we can consider, and the rest's a little bit of guesswork depending on what the units have been performing like. So we continue our investigation of this infantry unit in the north of the map. As you can see, he's in a bunker which is upper and lower case, which means it was previously vacated. So the modification to the attacker's die roll is minus 20%, not minus 40% like is normal for bunkers, and it's also plus 5. So plus 5 to what, you may ask? Well, if we go to F3 into the parameter data dialog, you'll see that infantry defense is 16. That's the base rate. So for this fellow here, he gets the plus 5, so his defense factor then is 21. 16 and 5 being 21. The yellow there, I believe, means he's not full strength. But once again, we won't know that in fog of war. So here's our unit again, and you can see we're actually back to the fog of war mode. So we're looking to attack this chap with this infantry unit down here. So as you can see, it's he's in a village, as mentioned before, so 40% plus 5. So at this point we don't really know how many men he has, what's his morale, or his movement or fatigue. So you could call this a reconnaissance in force. Given our unit is an infantry unit, the only way we can attack a bunker hex is via assault, which would be 10. So we know it's minus 40%, so that takes it down to a 6. So we could figure out that we're 518 men by 6, so it's going to be about 3,000. And we don't really know what's in this guy. All we know is it's more than 100 but less than 1,000. So the only way to really find out is to just run an assault. So as a result of the assault, we've managed to push him out. So how's that? We've disrupted him. He's still more than 100, so we still don't know how many he is, but he can't be horribly many if we can push him out with 513. So I call that like a reconnaissance in force. So if we got totally blattered in that assault, well, we know he's a strong unit. It can be an expensive way to find these things out, but when you don't know, the only way to find out is to at least send one unit in this reconnaissance in force concept. So let's have a look at this one again to attack this unit here. So once again, this guy's in the same sort of defensive setup. He's an infantry unit, so we know the base value is 16 plus 5 is 21. So at a minimum, he's 2,100 if you multiply that by 100 men for the 3 X's. Now our minimum, we've already decided, is like 500 by 6. It'll actually be more this time, because this guy has 20%, but notice he's at 220 meters and we're at 160 meters, so there's a, what's that, 60 meter difference. So we're attacking uphill. Now there's a 10% penalty for that, so that's 30. So we can say 500 by 7, 3,500. At a minimum, if he's 100, he'll be at least 2,100. Hopefully he won't disrupt on us. 3 men, okay. Now 1116, that isn't too horribly bad, and also notice that he's now double X, so he's less than 100, so that tells us something, that he's not a really strong unit. The fact that we got practically 1-to-1 on the assault also gives us a clue. This guy is not mightily strong, but perhaps we might want to, if we really want that hex, we're probably better off getting another 2 or 3 Soviet infantry units to take him on. So this is how we do this recon in force, if you like. So here's another one down here, and I mentioned this one during the game. This is actually a second attack on this guy here, but let's say we don't really know. Now a recon guy, I think as a minimum he still could be 16, so he could be 21, and he's at 240 meters. We're at 240 meters, so there's no elevation difference. So at this stage we're roughly 500, 1,000, 1,100. So it's 1,100, and we're assault 10, and we're at least 20 off. So let's say it's 8. So we're 1,100 by 8, it's like 8,800 against this guy here. Now we don't know how many guys he's got in there. He's somewhere between 100 and 999. So we got close to 1-to-1, but we had 8,800 factors. So we need to get another stack of at least 8,000, 9,000 points to maybe get 2-to-1. We're just guessing by that result. Now that could be a really good roll, or it could be a really bad roll as far as that result goes. But at this stage, that's the only information we have. So this is a concept I call reconnaissance in force. This unit down here is interesting. By the NATO symbol, we know he's a machine gun unit. He's 200 meters, we're 220. So let's we'll attack him with 1. We'll just keep it consistent with 1. So we'll see if we can possibly do an assault on him. Well, that's pretty good. I thought we might get disrupted there. So we're 500 men. This guy down here, we know he's a minimum of 21. I think he might be 23. I think a machine gun unit might be a base number of 18, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Now we're attacking downhill, so he's at 200 meters. And we're at 220 meters, and we'll just run that assault and see what happens. 9 men to 17. Well, that's not too bad. Once again, we're running at about 2 to 1 there, so that's a pretty good result. Once again, it says he's not much stronger than, say, our 500. So we probably need to get these other two guys in here, and then we might have a chance of pushing him out. So we need another, say, 500 to 1,000 points, which these two guys here hopefully can do. And so that'll be for the next turn. So these are what I call Recon in force. So he's disrupted. So here's a good example of it. So we're 230, we're Morale D. Now with Morale D, if you check out the table in the user manual, I think that's an automatic 20% off ours. So we're 20% off ours plus 20% off his. So we're minus 40 for a start. So we're going to be about multiplied by, no, we can't attack anyway, we're disrupted. It'd be 6 by 200, so that's 1200. So here we go. So it'll be same here. His Morale D, yep. So he'll be even worse. So that's 20%, 40%, possibly minus 60%. So we would only be 4 by 230, which is very weak. Let's put it that way. But for the purpose of our demonstration, okay, so we go assault. Wow, that's pretty amazing. We got 1 to 1. So is that a good roll or a bad roll? We just don't know. But 1 to 1 would suggest if we can look at getting 1,000 points against him, we might have a chance of rolling this particular bunker. I thought we'd get totally smashed there. So this is where you have to sometimes just suck it up and take a bit of a risk. So what have we got here with this one? He's just the bunker, so he's a standard 21 with 20%. Now we're attacking across a stream. I'm not sure what that if the stream has a combat factor. I must check that. 8 for 16. So once again, that's not too bad. So it would seem to me at this stage that these guys are okay to attack. So let's have a look at this example here. We have roughly 1,000 guys, and we know that our assault value is 10. So that gives us a base value of 10,000. Now as far as the penalties go, this guy's a standard one with the bunker. So he's 20%, and he's also at an elevation of 200 meters. We're at 180. So therefore it's 10%, so it's minus 30%, and our guys are D, So that's starting to make it more difficult, isn't it? So that's another 20%, so that's minus 50%. So basically we have 5,000 points against, well, with artillery, we're taking a guess from, we'll have a look at our artillery, and their defence is 10. That's the same sort of unit, I think, 10. This guy here is 6. So we'll stick with 10. Right, now we're going to say they have about the minimum amount of guns, so in that case it'll be 10. So we've got 10 by 10's 100, by 10 equals 1,000. So this guy, we're going to say he was 21. He's at least 100 men there, so that could be 100 men by 21, yeah, 2,100. But he's disrupted, so that means his fire value gets reduced by 50%. So it's going to be at least 5,000 to 2,000, so roughly 2 to 1. As I say, this is all just broad brush, pretty rough sort of guesstimates. So let's see how we go. Righty-o, so we've pushed him out, totally destroyed his guns. He had 13 guns and we guessed 10 for 7 men, so that was a good result. So once again, a few basic mathematics. If you do it consistently enough, you'll soon be able to push bunkers out a lot easier than you think. And when I first started playing this game, I think I may have mentioned, I think I paid too much respect to the bunkers and tried to get around them and isolate them. Whereas our experiment so far has shown that with a few calculations we can be reasonably confident of getting a reasonable result. Even 1 to 1 is reasonable from a Soviet perspective. So here's that machine gun one. Well, you have to think we'll get him this time. Oh, okay. Totally crushed him. So there we go. So let's have a look at what we've got up here. I think we actually bladdered him actually in the game turn. So let's have a look at a... so at least 100 guys in there. We're 497 with morale D, so it's 20% already. 40%. 20% for the morale D takes us to... no, it's 40%, isn't it? Morale D is 20%, bunker's 20%. Yeah, okay. So we've got 5,000 versus... we think this is going to be 2,300. So 2,300, and we've got 5,000 minus 40%. What's that? 2,000? So 3,000. Yeah, so that's almost 1 to 1. So let's see how we go. Okay, roughly 1 to 1. So there we go. So the estimation is still sort of holding. So there's some thoughts for you as far as taking on bunkers. I should find a harder bunker scenario and try that and see if our estimated value system is broad enough to cover that. After a while you'll get to know mortar units, defensive 11, rocket units you wouldn't think would be much, I don't know, 10. Engineers, they're usually pretty hardy, yeah, defensive 16. Headquarters 16, pretty tough. $18 for armoured units. Of course, you do need to read the manual to get all these little nuances, but once you put a few together, it'll make your enjoyment of playing a lot more, I think. So I hope that's of some interest or value to you. So thanks for watching my advance through Medvin Alt, and have a go at those bunkers. Cheers. Stupid dog. Stupid dog.